You know what? It would probably be helped if I was set up before I jumped in on y'all. Peace, family. Welcome to your Sucka-Free Saturday broadcast. You know what it is. It's your man, Mark Black. Before we get started, just a couple of things that I want to say right off the bat. First and foremost, my condolences to anybody who is affected by or has lost anybody in this most recent mass shooting there in El Paso. To my ADOS family there in El Paso, please keep your head on the swivel, stay safe. It appears that this was another white identity extremist mass shooting. Fam, they out here and they're striding. They don't care who they take down and who they kill. I'm not wishing death on nobody. This is definitely a tragedy. At last I heard, upwards of 18 to 20 people may be dead. Dozens more wounded. Fam, it's ridiculous out here. And if you got family right now, fam, even if they're not in El Paso, just reach out to your peoples, man. You never know when it's going to be that time. You see what I'm saying? And it's important that in times like this, we remember what truly matters. And what truly matters are the ties that bind, the connections that we have. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, LaShawn. 19 at last count. This shit is nonsensical. It makes absolutely no damn sense. But part of the reason why this is able to happen, fam, is because you have so much happening in our country that don't make sense. And as long as illogic, lack of reason, denial of reality is the order of the day, then these things, while they're horrible, while they're sad, they're to be expected. You feel me? Like, we got to get to a point where people can have discussions where they can feel like that they're heard and shit. But in the interim, fam, you got to strap up. And that's just as simple as that. You can't be going places where some dude run up on you and you the next victim. You feel me? That just can't happen. And so with that in mind, again, anybody who's affected by and have lost anybody in the incident in El Paso and the other two incidents over the last week, my heart goes out to you. I advocate for my people first and foremost, but I do not lack a heart. All right. And tragedies are tragedies, no matter who they happen to. This is a horrible event. And I hope that justice descends swiftly and surely upon the bastard that went there and ended all these people's lives and changed all these people's lives for the worse. Right. Like, that's just facts. Put this son of a bitch away in a hole or whatever it is that got to be done. But May those people get some degree of justice from this situation, Secondly, before we get started, fam, again, check the links in the description field below. I'm asking for y'all, if y'all value my work, right? You know what happened recently with Professor Black Truth and his channel? The brother's been saying support your interests, right? Support your black media. It's not that we need to get rich off of you. I'm not looking for a come up. I got a lot of things I would love to do for you, but I can't do it by myself. So if you're so inclined, click the link for the Patreon, put $5 on it. If you could put more, it's definitely appreciated. Also, fam, I have now a new Facebook group, right, that I want to make sure that I share with you. So there's the links to my social media. You can find me at Twitter at Black Outcast, and also join the Angry Black Sheep on Facebook, right? There you can post information. We can exchange information. We can exchange reports. We can study things. We can build something substantive. So please consider signing up and joining the Angry Black Sheep on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. So with that said, fam, today the topic is going to be the eternal Mandingo. I have a special guest who wants to talk with us about it today. So, Miss Denny, come on in. Yeah, fam. Oh, while Miss Denny's taking her seat, please sit down, Miss Denny. And welcome to your Sucka-Free Saturday broadcast. Let me do the normal. Let me go in and say what's up to everybody. Sister Zipporah's in the house. LaShawn's in the house. Darker Vision's in the house. Maiden Dade and Richard's in the house. Universal Mike's in the house. Sister Christine, I see you, sis. Beloved is in the house. Chris V's in the house. Brother Christopher Clipper's in the house. Little Lady's in the house. My man Double C's, esteemed brethren's in the house. ADOS Boots on the ground, fam. I see you. Welcome to your Sucka-Free Saturday broadcast. Sister Alma's in the house, and so on. Fam, you know the rules. If you show up, let us know you're here so we can shout you out and show you some love. Thank you for the super chat, Ronnie. I appreciate you, fam. If you have something that you want to say, hit that super chat button so I can make sure to let the family know. Sister August Dreams, shalom to you. Shalom to you. I'm sorry. Shalom. Brother Paul, welcome to the Sucka-Free Saturday broadcast. Miss Denny is definitely in the house. You're right, fam. People are saying incels, and I think there's some truth to that, right? And I also understand why people are saying don't put incels. Put this on incels, because some people are aligning incels with the men's rights movement or the manosphere. I don't consider incels to be a part of the manosphere, right? Most incels, in my opinion, are just frustrated blue pill cats, right? With a sense of entitlement. You know what I'm saying? And because they feel like they're entitled to attention, affection, that they're not getting, some of them are being driven to do things that, to be quite frankly, are abhorrent, completely repugnant, and monstrous. But does this mean that we can't talk about it? Of course we can. And fam, I think I will do a separate broadcast about that, because I see that there's an interest in discussing it, right? But to today's broadcast, to today's topic, Mandingo forever. What we're going to talk about today, fam, is something that, in my humble opinion, does not get nearly the amount of exposure and discussion it deserves. Just like every other thing that affects ADOS males, we either talk about it in generalities, right, pretending that it's a truth for all ADOS people, when in fact it's true for ADOS males, or we simply just gloss over it completely. There was an article that Miss Denny found, and that's why I asked her to sit in on this broadcast to, add her perspective. But there was an article that she found on The Guardian that we're going to discuss, right? So, to the teaching screen, family, let's do it. This is an article written by Cortia Newland, right? The Guardian is a UK newspaper, right? A UK news outlet. And in this article, as you can see from the title, the brother states that he had to submit to being exoticized by white women. If he didn't, he was punished, right? And we're going to go through this article because, fam, I want us to understand that there is something that has been long ongoing that gets no discussion, no addressing by even ADOS media, right? We don't talk about this shit. And I feel like that because we're not talking about this, there are real harms that are being done that are glossed over, that are not addressed. You feel me? I see y'all getting it in the chat. So let's kind of go through the article a bit. He says here, and I'll read, quote, he said, I'm going to talk about something that until now I've largely kept to myself. It's odd as I consider myself a writer of extreme honesty, and I try to carry that over into real life. And yet, even now, I'm hesitating, and I realize to some degree I have procrastinated even more than usual about the thinking and writing of this. The committing of a hidden life event to the written word. That is always a scary act. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate the super chat and the support, fam. So basically, he's indicating that what he's about to discuss is uncomfortable to him. So he finally stops stalling and he talks about his experience. And I'm reading from the article here. A few decades ago, when I was just becoming a published author, I was discussing projects with various companies. In one, I dealt with a white male creative, and when he left, I was assigned to someone else, a white woman. I was overjoyed to be taken seriously at last, a bit starry-eyed from the blitz of media and publishing parties, both of which I was unused to. My new contact, charming and jovial, was full of great ideas and encouragement. We hit it off and got to work right away. I traveled into the office several times a week, full of excitement. I was young and eager to change the world. We'd sit in a room together and thrash out story outlines. Almost right away, my editor began making personal comments that I found highly unprofessional. She had black female friends, she said, who would love me. She said I was cute. And sometimes when we were sitting at a desk side by side, she would stare into my face where we were meant to be working. It was unnerving. And while I appreciated the compliments which would occur every time we worked together, I began to feel a little uncomfortable in her presence. Right? He goes on to say, then she suffered a small injury. There was a meeting due and she called me up insisting that I come to her house. Given what had been going on in the office, I wasn't that keen, so I asked if we could meet in a public place. She refused. We went back and forth until the conversation ended with her screaming down the phone, swearing at me and insisting that I come to her house. I refused. The following day, someone in the company rang me up to inform me that I had lost the job. Right? You feel me, fam? So essentially, he was in this situation with this woman who was making inappropriate moves on him, right? Who was sexualizing him, making comments and things like that, right? And the man, in the attempt to defend himself, to protect himself against this ongoing onslaught of sexualization, of, in his terms, exoticization of him, right, ended up losing his ability to do his job, right? He said in the article here, he said, it's clear to me that this incident is an example of white female privilege being used to dominate a young black man. I was perceived to have no recourse, no agency. I had to submit to being exoticized in accordance with the hypersexualized stereotype that black men are often framed by. When I refused to reciprocate, I was punished. It wasn't the first time I had seen this happen, and it won't be the last opportunity I would lose. And it wouldn't be the last opportunity I would lose because of something said about me by a white woman. My most recent loss was a university teaching post. The interventions of the other students saved my professional reputation, but I lost the job anyway. Right? And he goes on to address the Me Too movement and all of this and that. He said, but he doesn't think that there is an honest discussion about how white women in a system of racial patriarchy have the capability to oppress, using her sexuality, racialized males who are lower on the racial and social hierarchy. And he's absolutely fucking right. He's absolutely right. Fam, the most shocking thing about this article for me, and I'm going to let Miss Denny jump in here too as well, but the most shocking thing about this article to me was how everything about his story I resonated with. Every single thing. You see, fam, very often we get told, as ADOS males especially, but black men in general, right? Because this thing is universal across the board. Wherever you find white supremacy and black people, this thing is universal. Very often we're told by our sisters that we are chasing white bitches, that, you know, we don't understand the traps that are being set for us by, seeking interracial sexual access. But family, understand that this thing goes as far back as the institution of anti-black racism in Europe and the United States, in the West. This thing goes all the way back to the plantations. Right? The title of this broadcast, Mandingo Forever, is a reminder. How many of you have seen, Miss Denny, have you seen the movie Mandingo?
I have not.
Okay, how many of you, fam, pop a 1 in the chat if you saw the movie Mandingo? Right? Go ahead and just pop a 1 in there and let me know if you've actually seen the movie Mandingo. And that's an older movie. I think Mandingo was done in 73, right? It was quite an old film.
I've seen some excerpts from it, of course. I've seen a kind of the one where they're in the bedroom and she's talking about how she'll kind of end his life.
Yeah, speak up some.
So I've seen some excerpts of it. I haven't seen the whole movie. I did see a scene where she was talking about he has to give it to her anyway because she can say that he gave it to her even though he didn't. He had no choice. He had no agency.
Right. And so I'm sorry. Go ahead, Miss Diddy. Go ahead.
And that is exactly what I read when I read that article. I read that he felt he had no choice. Like, let's say he had decided, okay, screw it, I'm going to go ahead and go over there. What if he had been forced into a situation where, I don't know if you've seen the movie, and I believe it's with Demi Moore and Michael Douglas, where
the indecent was it Indecent Proposal? No. It wasn't that one because that was the one where it was Robert Redford where he offered $1 million to sleep with his wife. This was different. I know what movie you're talking about though.
She was his boss and she kind of forced herself onto him and basically, so that that excerpt of Mandingo and also the article reminded me of that. Here's the thing for me. I believe that is also early debut of sexual, what is it you call it, Mark?
You hit it right. The sexual debut. It's like
the early debut of the early sexual debut of boys. I believe it is all a part of our acculturation. We're acculturating our young boys and teenage boys, men, to be the sexual.
To be sexual aggressors.
Not only that, but also to be the object.
The sexual object.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. When I read the article.
By the way, shout out to Lil Lady. Thank you. The movie was called Disclosure.
Thank you, Lil Lady. Appreciate it. Right. So if you remember the scene where she invited him into her office and then it was like immediately she was all over him. Had the young man who no, that's the one with the rabbit is no, LaShawn, the one with the rabbit is what's that crazy one? Where she killed the rabbit.
You talking about Roger Rabbit?
No. There was a movie where the woman went crazy and she ended up killing.
There's so many movies where women go crazy. Come on now.
Okay, whatever.
I know I'm not trying to be shady, but there's too many.
Okay.
Fatal Attraction.
That's it.
Yeah, that movie was crazy as fuck.
Right. So, I believe that we as their mothers are culturing them to be sexual objects. I believe that we're letting them be debuted into sex early to be not only sexual objects but the object of fascination for both black women as well as white women. And I'll give you an example. I would tell Mark that he has what I like to call Becky powers. Now, he hates this. He really hates it. Because the reason why he hates it is because tell him why you hate it, bro.
So, yeah, she I met Miss Denny. We were actually co-workers on a job, and at this job, right? Like our trainer, like from the moment I showed up on the scene. Now, fam, I'm not gonna sit here and like hype myself up. I'm not no dime, right? But you know, when I doll up, I can be easy on the eye, right? So from day one at this place of employment, even the trainer who had a boyfriend, right? She was supposed to be getting married, right?
Yeah.
Even the trainer was like, you know, trying to kind of like get at me. She was talking about me too. And all of the manager staff, all of the supervisors were all like females. They were, white and Latino females, right? And so, she would go and talk to them about me. So when they would come into the class, they would see me, and one of the managers there made it clear, like she was unabashed about it, that if I wanted to smash, she was gonna let me smash. You see what I'm saying? Like she was just unashamed about it. You feel me? And it was so uncomfortable for me that I would come home and be stressed the fuck out. But here's the thing. What upsets me about when Miss Denny says that shit is that she really doesn't like. So, fam, this is what I want to communicate to all of you. As a black man, I understand that just like sisters will go into an office and code switch, to a degree, if I want to have any type of positive interaction with the people in my office, I have to at least not dissuade them from objectifying me sexually.
He has to have the standard.
I have to have some Becky's or some Maria's standard of fucking approval in order to be able to, right? Like Charles is talking about, he said I had a Cambodian supervisor who pretty much told me I could smash whenever. Like facts. I used to work at AT&T, and my supervisor was a white woman. And this supervisor, like, now, mind you, fam, I give 110% to everything I do. So when I step on the scene on any job, I'm not just trying to do the job. I'm trying to be the best person at the job. So when I got on this woman's team, I went from, being a newbie to within a month being in her top 2 people, taking the top spot in stats and shit like that because I do a good job. So in a way, she could kind of justify her constant interactions with me as, oh, I'm coaching him to continue his, upward rise, but this, that, and the third. But she made it clear to me that she had an attraction to me, that she was willing to further my goals into management and stuff like that. If, there was some quid pro quos, like she gave me her personal phone number. I still have it today. Now, I never called her, you know what I'm saying? But she said, get your phone and put it in your phone, right? So she gave me her personal, like, telephone number off the site. You know what I'm saying?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What's the difference between, say, that and, well, any male and female interaction, there is going to be a small amount of attraction. Now, it could turn from attraction to esteem because of who you are and what you do. But what's the difference between, say, you and I meeting at the job and we have esteem for each other? But in that esteem, there's a small amount of attraction. So what's the difference between that and, say, oh, I'll give you my entire paycheck to have sex with me?
The difference is in the power dynamic. Because see, if you're talking about peer-to-peer interactions, right? Like let's say you have a job and there's a white girl on your job and she just make it clear that you want to, she wants you to smash, but she don't control like how much you get paid. She don't control what your hours gonna be, whether you advance or even whether you keep your job or not. Like there's that underlying power dynamic that makes it a fucking problem. Like and if you notice, it's never right. Leo Scarpoli is hit it on the head. Right now, I am in an interracial relationship, but one of the things that I had to address was the fact that I can't be in this with a lopsided power dynamic. That there's no fucking way this can operate where she basically has the power over me. I'm not going to accept that. I will end the relationship before I allow that to obtain. You feel me?
I also wanted to make it clear. When I first read the article, I thought immediately sexual harassment. But whenever you have those sexual harassment videos you have to watch, or whenever you hear of a case of sexual harassment, it is always in the male doing the harassing of the poor young woman. We never ever really hear of sexual harassment being the other way around. It probably happens more than we think we even know.
It's worse than that. Because while we definitely don't really, like, at least that can get examined in a movie, right? But the last time we saw the essential rape of ADOS men addressed in a movie or anything like that was Mandingo. That was like the biggest.
Ibrahim, that's even worse. I've seen that happen.
Yeah, Ibrahim, and it happens with gay interactions too and shit. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, fam, the thing is that we as ADOS males are hypersexualized, not just by the dominant society in this piece. By the way, let me go through the chat really quick and shout everybody out. Jones in the house. Brother Ibrahim, I think I already shouted you out. Leo's in the house. Brother Charles is in the house. Welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday. We talking about it today. Let's get it, right? The thing... Oh, and shout out to Toolbox, by the way, too, as well. Here's the thing to note. We already have the mythology, and it is a myth, of the hypersexual black brute that exists in society, right? Dr. Tommy Curry talks about this in The Man Not, where he talks about the creation of these hypersexual caricatures of black males, right? That we are sex fiends, we have little brains but big dicks, that we can't control our sexuality, and that any woman in our vicinity, especially white women, are under threat of unwanted sexual aggression from black males.
The problem is that it's not unwanted, though. They made it out to be that white women are these lily white, pure. They made it out to seem as though that the aggressive. What did you say it's called again?
The sexual aggression.
The sexual aggression is only one-sided.
But hold on a second. It's a projection, because you're absolutely spot on. The fact is that we've known ever since the days of the plantation that sexual access to black bodies is accepted as a given under white supremacy, right? Like, when we talk about rape on the plantations, we use, even now, we talk about, the slave master raping the slave woman, right? Like, when you looked at 12 Years a Slave, you saw the slave master raping Patsy, right? But what we don't talk about is the slave master, the man, raping male slaves and boys, right? Having house boys that he was fucking, right? Sexually assaulting slave males. And we also don't talk about slave mistresses forcing sexual access to slave men. In Mandingo, she essentially put him in a position where he had no choice. It was either die now or die later. But his death was ensured. There was no question about it. She forced him into a position where he will service her sexually, or he will die. He will either die right now, or he will die when it ultimately comes out, right? Which, of course, if you haven't seen the movie, and I don't want to give too many spoilers, but ultimately, Mandingo impregnates the slave mistress who has a mulatto child, right? Now, of course, the slave master can't admit that his wife cuckolded him with a slave, right? So the slave that was responsible for impregnating his wife is dead. He's done. And the baby is then sold off into slavery, regardless of the law that stated that the status of the mother was what gave status of slave to the child, right? The slave master would just simply sell the kid off into slavery, right? We don't talk about the fact that a lot of people, ADOS people who are, mulattoes, octoroon, you see what I'm saying? That we don't talk about that many of them, more than we would like to admit, were not the products of rape by the slave master and the slave mistress, but were the products of rape of slave mistresses on enslaved men. So you see, fam, this thing has been going on since the plantation. Sexual access to black bodies is considered pro forma. It is the right of the whites under white supremacy, right? So, fam, we got so many comments. If you really want me to read what you said, please hit the super chat, even if it's just a buck or whatever, so I can make sure to highlight your statement, okay? Because there's a lot going on. I appreciate the back and forth in the chat, but do that so I'll know to address you specifically, because there's a lot happening. So, as an ADOS male, part of the diminishing of my experience is the denial of the levels of extortionate sexual behavior that is enforced upon me. And it ain't just, by the way, fam, it ain't just white women. Part of this whole thing is white men and women, yes, of course. But we also perpetuate that same sexual extortionate behavior amongst each other as ADOS people, right? Like if an ADOS man has a wife or a girlfriend and she wants sexual access to him, if he says for any reason that he is not so inclined to have sexual congress with her, he's shamed. He is shamed. Girl, what you mean he didn't want to fuck? What? We are treated, this hypersexual mythology, this caricature of ADOS males as these dicks on light switches, as these hypersexualized low IQ brutes, isn't just perpetuated in the greater society at large. They are enculturated to it.
Yes.
We are acculturated to it. We continue to raise black boys into black men who are supposed to be dick on demand.
And in all honesty, it is hard for us. It is ridiculously hard for us to break our acculturation, but we must, because we can't not only watch what white women are doing to black men. We have to not only stop what they're doing, but also think about how we're raising our boys. Think about how we're treating our mates. If we're treating our mates like that, they have no safe place to go to. If they're getting that during the day at work, that, oh, you can get it from white women. They're getting that stamp of approval, you can get it, and then at home their experience is denied, and they're also being treated like that at home, like, I want some, you can give me some. It don't matter how you feel about it. It don't matter if you had a hard day. That shit's wrong too. It's even perpetuated in movies. Like, I'll give you an example. In Barbershop 2, I want to say, Nicki Minaj was describing her perfect man. And her perfect man had a dick print you could see from the Empire State Building. It's continually and continuously perpetuated. It's on autopilot now. We can't stop it. We have to figure out what is going to work for us, because what the dominant white society is doing is not working for us. We have men whose experiences are being denied, who are being forced to have sexual congress when they don't want to. If we say it's a woman's choice, it's our body, it's their body too. They have to have the same autonomy, this same power over their own body as they say that we have.
That you do have.
Yeah.
Look, fam, if you are ADOS male and you come at your wife and she say, nah, I'm not really with it. You know, I got a headache, blah, blah, skippity woo woo. And you press the issue. Not necessarily be on some old rapo shit, but just, you know, try to be persuasive and press the issue to get you some ass. You know what they call that? That's marital rape.
That's a thing.
That's a thing. You can be convicted of marital rape. You can rape your wife. She has the right at any time to say no. You could be in. I'm sorry, the family, that this is graphic. So if you got children listening to it, little ones, understand Mark Black is talking about adult things, okay? And please, you know what I'm saying, understand and forgive your elder brother. But you could be in the ass. You could be in the pussy, right? If she says stop, you are immediately to back the hell out and be done. Like, at that point, your job is to simply wait or just put it on pause, okay? Yet, we as males do not have that option. Now, Miss Denny, as usual, is being a gentlewoman, and I appreciate it. She's being a lady. You see what I'm saying? But I'm about to drop a bomb in this motherfucker because I'm the angry black sheep, and this is just what I do. We need to talk about the grooming of young ADOS boys for sex by older ADOS women.
Yes.
We need to talk about this shit. Fam, do you know that as an ADOS male, the odds of you escaping your childhood, not having had any type of sexual interaction, is slim to none? Mm-hmm. Absolutely slim to none. We have, as ADOS males, the earliest sexual debut of any group of children in the country. On average, the age of 12. Mm-hmm. Now, understand that seems like, okay, 12 years old. It could be young dudes bragging about ass they ain't getting and so on and so forth. Okay, fine. So even if we discount the idea of young brothers telling pussy stories, which I'm gonna keep it a buck. At 12 years old, I was still playing with Transformers and G.I. Joes and shit. I had never even seen a vagina, let alone like was necessarily interested in one, right? Yeah. So, you know, my personal anecdotes aside, understand that for ADOS females, for black females, the average age of sexual debut is 15 years old. Now, if the age of ADOS males is 12 for sexual debut on average, right? The earliest age, I should say. Mm-hmm. And the earliest age on average for ADOS females is 15. Right. Meaning that we're not having sex with young ADOS women, right? Young ADOS girls. Then who the hell are we having sex with?
Your mama's friends.
Who are we having sex with, fam? I mean, this is an obvious question from the data. You said, no, Christine, because yes, white boys are active too. But when you look at the data, the average, okay, so the people who have the least or the latest sexual debut are Asian males and white females, right?
Exactly, Charles. Grown ass
It
women.
Is grown women who are having sex with ADOS boys. We are being groomed by ADOS women to be accessible for sex as early as when we get the first hair on our nuts. How many stories have we seen of 13, 14-year-old boys who are now babies' daddies to women who are...
I'm going to drop a name on y'all. Mary Kay Letourneau. What was that boy? 12 years old?
Vili Falau. Now, he's not ADOS. He's Samoan, right? But Vili Falau was 12 years old.
But if you're hearing about that, think about the ones you're not hearing
exactly, about. Fam. Think about the ones you're not hearing about. Now, Charles Irby just hit on something. I just pulled him out of chat. Sorry, fam. Y'all got a lot going on. But check this out. How many brothers got stories of being in the room with their mama and her friends when he done got a little height on him? Like he's hitting 11, 12, right? He's now gone from 4 foot something to 5 foot something, right? He's starting to get his testosterone running through his veins, so he's getting a little size on him, right? If you were to look down the little brother's pants, he's got a little hair on his shit. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And her girlfriends are sitting there talking about, ooh, girl, he getting cute. Look at him. He growing up. Come here, baby. Let me look at you. How many stories, fam? Tell the truth and shame the damn devil. Fam, how many stories do we have? And you know what? At this point, Christine, I feel you. But I'm not addressing white folks. We know white folks will stick their dicks in a tree knot, right? Like, it is what it is. We talking about us, fam. We cleaning house. How many times do we see this dynamic? Now, think about this. Right? I would argue that there's an epidemic of hypersexualization of ADOS children in general. Mm-hmm. But like all things, ADOS males are predominantly and disproportionately affected. We never talk about what is happening to our boys.
Like, I'll give you another example. If y'all saw the Antoine Fisher story, it came out quite a few years ago. He was living in a foster home where he was getting physically abused, and then his foster mother's, I believe, aunt or sister was sexually abusing him at 7 years old. Like, it's more common than we know. There are tons of stories like that we're not hearing. For everyone we hear there's at least 100 to 300 we haven't heard.
Fam, my first sexual molestation was by my aunt when I was 5 years old. Now, I didn't see it necessarily as harmful, which is another thing that we need to address, right? Because, fam, how easy is it to victimize somebody who, when you victimize them, have been told that they're not victims, right? When an ADOS boy is sexually activated, right? When he has his sexual debut, everybody who hears about it, both ADOS females and their male consorts, big him up. We're told that's my man right there. Look at my little man out there, you know what I'm saying, putting it in, right? If you a dude. Or if you a woman, you be like, well, girl, I don't know what I'm going to do. I hope this nigga don't bring a baby home, right? You know what I'm saying? This, that, and the third, right? But no real appropriation. No real trying to halt the sexual exploitation of the child. Right? Nobody's sitting there saying, oh, don't fuck him. He's a boy. Right? He's a kid. We're told to be proud of it.
No one sees ADOS boys or girls as actual children. The white folks don't see them that way. And in our own society, we don't see them that way. We try to make them grow up way before their time. We don't have childhoods. Now, I'll give you another example. My stepfather, my brother's father, his sexual debut was at 5 years old. He had sexual intercourse at 5 years old. I mean,
with whom?
I'm trying to remember.
Was it a woman?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. But fam, Miss Denny is right in that childhood in its essentialness is denied mostly to ADOS children. But I can tell you for a fact, as an ADOS man, and having been an advocate of my brothers, that ADOS male's childhood is limited to basically infancy. Like as soon as you hit toddlerhood, there's really no real childhood for you. You feel me?
Yeah.
Nah, Chris, we ain't gonna stop with names. I don't give a fuck if people catch a case. See, that's the problem. We don't talk about this shit and we don't hold these people accountable. I'm not gonna ever stop naming off criminals, people who are violating the innocence of our children. Damn it. We have people right now who have grown up thinking that their whole lives are dominated by the genitalia between their legs, regardless of their educational attainments, regardless of their entrepreneurial ambitions, regardless of what else they've been able to attain in this life. Because of the victimization and acculturation of ADOS families, all of that takes a back seat to what's between their legs.
That is exactly before therapy how I felt. That was exactly my experience. I felt like I was only defined by my physical assets. I couldn't be defined by my mind. I couldn't be, this brilliant person, this giving person with a giving heart. I couldn't be anything else but a sexual object. That is exactly what I thought.
Fam, I'm going to tell you, the whole Pookie and Ray Ray thing, right? Because that's caught fire all over the manosphere. Do you know how many of those Pookie and Ray Rays are simply imitating the caricatures of manhood that they've been acculturated with from their mothers? Exactly. Let's keep it a buck. In a lot of black households, your mother's male consort, because we know that the overwhelming majority of ADOS children that are born, the ones that we let be born, right? Because nowadays we're seeing more ADOS children being killed by Planned Parenthood than we are seeing born, right? But that's a whole nother dynamic. And I know we hitting on the topic because I see the numbers dropping. You feel me? But here's the thing. These women with their male consorts are perpetuating flawed caricatures of masculinity that are not working for our people. Your mother gets into a fight with her male consort, right? With her nigga, her dude. And he go upside her head. Now, you sitting in the room with your mother, her lip busted, her bleeding or whatever. She got a black eye and she crying. Now, you an ADOS boy and you love your mother. And so you sitting there trying as best you're able to comfort her because you can't fight your daddy, right? You too little. You can't defend her, but you can empathize. You have a heart. And so she hugs you close. And she's holding you. She's rocking you back and forth. And she tells you that one thing that too many of our ADOS men or boys are hearing. You the man in this house. He ain't no man. You the only man I got. At 6, 7, 8 years old, your ADOS boys don't have the experience to interpret that necessarily in the way that you mean it. So they're going to take it literally. And they will from that point on, because it came from the lips of God, right? Because mother is the name for God on the hearts and the lips of children. So the voice of God told him he is a man. So from that point on, his childhood is over. He has to be the man. And when he's 9 and 10 and he's skipping school trying to scrapple up on some bread to put some food in the refrigerator. Yes. When he's 12 and 13 and he's out there playing prison games, hustling dope. When he's 16 and he's gang banging and killing his brother to try to get the best spot on the corner,
Yes.
we want to blame him and say, look at that nigga Pookie. Look at Ray Ray. He ain't shit. But who told him that he had to be Pookie and Ray Ray right from Jump Street?
Who told him at 16 that he had to do something? He had to get a job, do something.
You feel me?
You can't live up in here for free.
Oh my God! Like, I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. It is absolutely fucking ridiculous, fam. I was trying to help my family make money. And when I say family, because I had a stepfather there, but him and my mother, you know what I'm saying, was hustling to try to make ends meet. At 7 years old, I'm out there shoveling snow in the winter and cutting grass. I bring home $9-10 and put it in a bowl, and I'm thinking I'm gonna try to save it up so that when I go to my folks, I can actually take them some money. Little did I know that they was already raiding my little nickel and dime and dollar bowl, and so when I go to get my money, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
At 9 years old, I'm working for $1 an hour cleaning up around a fruit stand to try to bring some bread home. But it wasn't just to bring home bread for my family. My family wasn't doing shit for me. I go to school, all my friends got school books and trapper keepers and rulers and pencils and shit. If I wanted that stuff, I had to steal it. Or I had to hustle for it. You know what my gift from my mother was for my 16th birthday? My freedom. If you ain't home by 12 o'clock, don't come here. That was my 16th birthday gift.
Sure.
It was basically, I can't teach you no more about being a man. You got to go out there and make it happen.
How you gonna make it happen? What tools were you given to make it happen?
You got
What
me.
kind of shit is that? What can a 16-year-old boy really do out there to make some money to bring home to his family? Tell me that. What can a 12-year-old boy, what can an 8-year-old boy, what can a 6-year-old boy really do out here in this world to make a living? What can he do?
That's facts.
Like, that shit is beyond ridiculous to me. Our acculturation is killing us.
Tell them to try to link now. Christine, try to link now for the Facebook page. I'm sorry, I had to change the privacy settings. But yeah, Mel Brown said his childhood was occupied by work. Mm-hmm. Most ADOS boys' childhood is occupied by work. Mm-hmm. You have to be of utility from day one in your household.
I think my stepdad started working at 8 years old on a construction site.
Shit, I was as young as 6, and I had 2 other siblings. My brother of sainted memory, may he rest, and my baby sister. So I had to cook for them. Right, I had to do everything for them. I had to take care of them when my mom's was, out doing whatever. This is even before she started working, because she got a job working for the IRS and shit. You know what I'm saying? After a while, but she would just be doing whatever, and I had to cook for my brother and sister. Matter of fact, that's why I'm such a good cook now. I've been cooking since I was 6 years old. Right? You see what I'm saying, fam? ADOS males are denied every aspect of a childhood, and we don't get to keep blaming white supremacy for that.
It has to become in-house.
At some point, we have to take accountability for how we're raising men. Look, fam, if you got a few brothers that ain't about shit, blame them. But if you have whole entire swathes of brothers, Double C says, to my favorite dynamic duo, supporting my interests. I appreciate you, fam. You know I appreciate the love. Thank you, brother Cease. Right? When you have whole entire swathes of people, of brothers, of ADOS men, that the entire race considers to not be shit, at some point, you got to question how these men were brought the hell up.
Yes, you do. That's why, if I'm 100% honest, that's why I advocate for ADOS men, because one, nobody else is doing it. Two, nobody else, like, if you think about it, I'll give you an example. Jeffrey Dahmer, right? When they finally caught Jeffrey and put him in jail before court, there were all these questions as to, oh, he was such a nice neighbor, but how was he raised? The Columbine kids, they asked the same questions. They were such good kids. How were they raised? We blame the parents, but for some reason in the black community, we can't.
You can't blame the parents.
You can't
Exactly.
blame your mama.
Look, fam, let's keep it a full buck. ADOS parents at large, but ADOS mothers in general, remain one of the few sacred cows left in American society.
Well, I say fuck that shit.
No, I hear you. But let's tell the truth. ADOS parents in general, but since we know the vast majority of newly minted ADOS lives are being raised by mothers or by single parents, mostly mothers, then ADOS mothers are the sacred cows of sacred cows. You can't criticize them for shit.
Yeah.
Your mother could have been ice cold, which if you're an ADOS man, a lot of us grow up to be not understanding or accepting of affection because we never got it. Right? You can't give something to a woman you never had. Right? If you never had a hug from your mama, how can you give a hug to your woman? I'm just saying, right? We don't get to criticize them for shit, because what they get to do is, rather than take ownership and examine in detail what our acculturation is, what are we raising our children to be, they simply get to deflect off onto white supremacy. And because white supremacy holds these ideas there, you see what I'm saying? These ideas of hypersexualized ADOS boys and men, right? And so on and so forth. You feel me? Because of that, that shit works. I'm sorry, but it works.
I like what Mel Brown said. There were so many creative children that had to put creativity on the back burner for production.
Yep.
It all comes back for me to utility. Black mothers are raising their sons to simply be tools to increase the bag.
Let's keep it a buck. ADOS parents see their boys as they reparations.
Facts.
I'm just keeping it 100% all the way motherfucking funky. So a lot of our issues stem from the fact that we all have a misguided sense of what is going to provide us with repair. Right? ADOS men and women see each other as their reparations, like they're supposed to make whole the life they never had.
Right.
ADOS parents see their children as their reparations that's supposed to make whole the life that they've been denied here in the confines of the United States of America. We sit here as ADOS and we say that we need reparations, not just because of the capital, but because reparations, the repair, the remediation, the restoration, and the repair of our people is going to affect every single aspect of our lives, including the way we raise children, the way we teach children, the interaction and the dynamics between us in love relationships, and everything. We can stop trying to use each other as reparations, as the means to repair what has been broken for us. And we can actually start working to have the means and the capability to heal what has been broken in us by this sick-ass system of white supremacy in this society.
Lineage therapy.
But we can't do that, fam, if we refuse to tell the truth. ADOS's first and foremost goal is being grounded in the data. And the data suggests that we tend to generalize ADOS life while not telling the truth that the vast majority of the dysfunctions of ADOS life primarily affect ADOS males. When we talk about mass incarceration primarily affects ADOS males.
Yes.
So why are we generalizing that as if, now this is not to say that ADOS women do not have effects from mass incarceration, right? But it was kind of like what Hillary Clinton said when she said that war was hurting women worse than men because the men were going off and dying. Last time I checked, the men are fucking dying.
Like,
That's a worse hurt.
What in the actual fuck?
Than the loss that a woman might experience at the loss of a mate. She can find a new mate.
That's the thing.
Right? But he can't get a new life if he can't get a new limb if his limb was blown off by a landmine or some shit. Right? You know what? Charles, this idea of black male utility, especially sexual access, is universal around the globe. Everywhere where you have white supremacy extant, you're going to see ADOS males being used as sexual objects. And we're used as sexual objects from the earliest of ages. Internally, we're used as sexual objects by our own people. And then when we become adults, if we want to make any way in the world, we have to at least intimate that we are sexually accessible or that we are non-threatening sexually. Like you, as an ADOS male, you can't be super aggressive at work, especially around any white women, right? Because all she has to do is say, well, we were in a meeting one time and he touched me. There goes your career.
Exactly.
You're done.
Done.
There's no question.
None.
There's no investigation they can do. You're done.
Exactly.
Right?
And
they demand the same acquiescence, the same access to our bodies, to our intellectual property, to our minds, to our emotions that they always had from the moment we were on the plantations to 2019.
Yes.
And woe betide the ADOS man who tries to stand up for his autonomy.
And say this ain't right. I don't like. It's like, oh God, I lost it. I'm sorry. It's like, I was gonna say, my bad. It's like, how do you expect? This is what I always say. I say, we as black women can't have it both ways. We can't want an emotional man and not nurture that emotionality in our boys. We can't expect for them to do something they've never been taught. And we can't expect for them to not see themselves as sexual
objects.
Objects, thank you. If we're continuing to perpetuate that as we raise them.
Absolutely. I mean, what the hell do you, okay, brothers, the idea that you have to be sex on demand, I need you to understand that was the way that you were raised. That was part of your upbringing. And it was a wrong that was done you.
Yes.
You are not merely someone's sexual object, excuse me, to be used at will. Excuse me.
Water?
Yeah, I'm gonna have some water. You are not that. You are a mind. You are emotions. You are heart, as well as a body.
And you are diverse. You're not just one thing. Don't let anybody tell you you're just one fucking, because you're not. You're not just dick on a light switch. At least, not to me.
Now, fam, I'm going to open up the line here shortly because I see the numbers dropping, so I know we done hit way too much real truth in this motherfucker. And for all of those who had to leave because they were triggered, fuck you. This is Black Outcast Media. This is what we do. If you wasn't ready, you better get ready. Because we're going to talk about the tough topics.
Yeah.
But before I open up the line, I just want to say this. Sisters, I beg you, stop doing the equivalent of blaming the rape victim to your brothers.
Yes.
We ain't out here chasing white bitches like 40 going north. The overwhelming majority of ADOS males marry ADOS women. The overwhelming majority. That has always been true. It will always continue to be true. We need for you to understand that you're not serving yourselves by demanding immediate, pretty much right at the edge of post-pubescent sexual access to your males. You're not serving us, and you're not serving yourselves.
No.
What you're doing is continuing to propagate a means, a tool by which white supremacy has long been able to harness the energies of the entire nation in defense against. You are creating, in a lot of ways, the hypersexualized black brute that everyone is then able to use as a target.
Yes.
And we have to stop it. We have to stop it. We have to start keeping it fully honest. Your man is being hounded everywhere he goes for the use of his body. Everybody, white males, white females, Latino males, Latina females, Asians, everybody is angling to utilize the flesh of your brothers. And if they do not get access to it in a timely fashion, have no problem with seeing your brothers die.
Mm-hmm.
We will and can defend ourselves. Like this brother stood up and refused to be the sexual pawn of this chick who is trying to use him.
But
Go ahead.
But if you cannot defend yourself, if you do not believe that in any way, shape, or form you're being utilized in this manner, understand that I will defend you. That's who the fuck I am. I am the black honey badger, and I will stop all comers before I let anybody do anything to you.
Facts. Fam, we got to defend each other. You can't, as ADOS women, expect or demand from me protection, defense, if I can't expect it from you. This doesn't mean I need you out there throwing hands necessarily, but this means that I need for my issues, my specific issues as your brother, to be on your lips with my name on it. Not generalized, not made the issue of all ADOS people. I need you to say my name. I need you to advocate for me whenever, wherever you're able. I need you to not continue to perpetuate the same caricatures and myths that allow me to be swept from the social stage as a prelude to my physical murder and demise.
Yes.
Because if you can't do that for me, well, then what do you want from me? Right? So with that said, fam, it's time to open up the lines. You know what it is. 425-296-1980. I want to get a few calls in before everybody disappeared. We must have really smacked some hit dogs yelp. We got 31 watching live that I can see right now. We had upwards of 40 some odd.
Well, that means the ones that stay around really want to see what we're talking about. That's
facts.
all I care about.
Y'all the ones that I'm talking to.
Yes.
Y'all the ones that are still here. Y'all the ones that are going to press this thing home.
Yes.
Y'all are the ones who are going to make sure that we examine all this shit.
Yes.
Right? Our children, we made them,
yes.
Not the other way around. Like, we talked about ADOS parenting, and I said that ADOS parents are the only motherfucking parents on the planet that can make their children believe that basic care and feeding isn't a right, but a privilege.
Exactly. You feel this air I got on in here for you? You see them clothes I got you last week? You should be thankful. Why do children have to be fucking grateful for what you're supposed to do for them? They didn't ask to be here.
Facts.
You decided to have them. They're your responsibility and your duty and your motherfucking honor. Act like it.
That's real talk, fam. I mean, look, white supremacy is white supremacy. And that is what it is, right? Well, where we have agency is in the upbringing of our own children. The physical beatings of our children, the hypersexualization, unmentioned, the grooming of our children sexually, and all this other shit. That's shit that we need to clean up. That's stuff that we need to address.
Another thing I think we need to address is this is just
all right, Miss Denny, don't start none, won't be none. I'm just saying. All right, go ahead.
All right, you tripping?
Go ahead.
The other thing we need to address, I believe, is when a boy or a girl becomes a teenager, and the step parent in residence begins to be a sexual predator, and for some reason, when you go and tell your birth biological parents that it's instead of being your savior, your mother, your father, whatever, you then become competitive with them.
That shit is sickening to me. Where the fuck does that come from? This competitiveness.
If I come from you, if you're my mother, or if he's your father, if that's your child.
Now, I'll be honest, as an ADOS man, I can't really speak to that. Like, I didn't ever feel like I was in competition sexually with the men in my life or whatever the case may be. Whenever I've seen that, that's been a dynamic between ADOS or black women.
All right.
Yeah, the competition where you done got tampered with by your motherfucking stepfather or your mother's boyfriend or some shit, and then you go to your mama and she come at you like you was trying to steal her man and this, that, and the third.
Is that y'all need to stop that bullshit. Here's the thing with that. The thing with that is, if your child comes to you with that real concern, and you act as if they just some other bitch on the street, how can your child trust you with their feelings, with what they need from you? That is some bullshit we need to stop as ADOS women. Your child is not your motherfucking competitor. She's your child, no matter how the fuck old she is.
That's all right. Go ahead, Miss Denny. Call it. What's your name and what's on your mind?
This is Double C, man. What's going on?
In the house. What's good, fam? Talk to us.
Man, you've touched on a lot of real shit today.
It's my job, fam. You wouldn't respect me otherwise. Somebody got to talk about it.
Now you know, to the black man, doubt white woman is a form of reparations, man, okay? That's our kryptonite. I'm kidding, man. I'm just kidding. Anyways, I can even say that shit with a straight face. I'm sitting not trying to laugh, but all jokes aside, you know, interracial relationships, especially with black men and white women, is very small, on a very small scale. But according to the media, they think that's the biggest thing in the world, which isn't, because if that was the case, there would be a lot more. There wouldn't be as many black men as black women.
Right.
Okay. And the ones that get upset about that black women get upset about that, usually because the black man can get with anybody, be okay, because
we can't. You're absolutely right, CC.
You know.
Yeah, fam. I mean, but they don't understand how that dynamic is able to obtain. If you've put into the larger society, the greater society at large, the mental construct of the black male as the gold standard of dick, then it makes sense that every ethnic group out there wants to at least try that, right? Like, you know, the whole trope of the college Becky who goes to college and screws everything moving. You see what I'm saying, right? Especially if it's black. Like, it's a trope at this point. But you can't
Yeah.
expect that to be otherwise when everybody, see, this is the thing. Christine mentioned earlier in the chat, and Christine, I'm not trying to put you on blast, sister, but I seen your interaction with LaShawn, and I wanted to address it because there's this there's this thing where we're supposed to be grateful for having been given life, right? That's an argument that ADOS folk use constantly on their children. Well, I gave you life. I didn't have to, right? The fact is, though, Christine, is that if you didn't give us life, we wouldn't have known it any motherfucking way, right? We wouldn't have been here to even address the issue. So the fact that we have life, that we were carried for 9 months, just meant that your mother is a mammal. It don't it don't imply anything about her ethics, her morality, her ideology. Like it don't imply anything else except that she was a mammal who was able to give birth to live young. You feel me? Cease, what you think about that, fam?
I'm glad you mentioned it because I just had this conversation with my sister yesterday about this. Because she was telling me about, now we knew how me and my sister grew up with our mother and father and whatever, okay? Yeah. So she started to tell that to her daughter, and the first thing I said to her was, you cannot expect your 11-year-old daughter to understand what you went through because 2 reasons. 1, she wasn't born yet. And 2, the kids know the here and now, how you treat them. They don't know how you were treated. Then she said something which I thought was utterly ridiculous, and I've heard other ADOS mothers say this. Well, the kid guy realized that the parent grew up with some pain too. And my response was, that's the dumbest shit I heard. Then if that's the case, why don't you do better? You be better. You know?
Yeah.
That's just my personal opinion.
No, I feel you, fam. I mean, you know, I get, but trust me, I get better than pretty much most folk that I know. I get the overarching, deep-seated, underlying effects of white supremacy on ADOS folk, right? Nothing I ever say is should be construed by my people as the denial of white supremacy. I will never, okay? What it is to say is, though, however, is that there is a lot of people who try to use like really what I call florid language. It's filled full of imagery and life, and it does bring attention to our plight, but I think some of the language does us a disservice. We are not prisoners of war. We were not brought here as captives after combat with the United States. We were brought here as property, as chattel. You see what I'm saying? Whoever's calling in, I think that might be Chris. Chris, I can only take one call at a time. I'll let Cease go here in a bit. So please, you know, when the next, or when this call, sorry, when this call is over, please call in. I can only take one call at a time. Sorry, I should have made that clear. But Cease, the point that I was trying to make is that I'm not denying the effects of white supremacy, but I am saying that some of the language that we use to describe our situation is not valid. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with that in mind, fam, you got, you know, we see you got another call. I'm gonna let you have the last word, fam.
Yeah, but you know something? The whole white supremacy thing, you can only take so far. You know, there's a certain point where you have to take accountability for your own actions. Because of how things are set up, you're not supposed to hate your mother or your parents. You're not supposed to talk about that. Yeah. You know, you're supposed to say it is what it is. But what I find to be hypocritical is, as you know, when I see the parents that treat their kids bad, and they have children that treat their kids bad the way they were treated because that's all they know. Now you're a grandparent. Well, you shouldn't do that. You should be more patient. You know.
Yeah.
The question is, when does the buck stop?
Exactly. The buck has to stop somewhere. I would agree with you 100%.
When does that? You have to break that cycle. And the problem, a lot of people is no one's willing to take the uncomfortable route. And trust me, it is uncomfortable to make change. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, fam. I really appreciate your input as always. Peace, brother.
Bye, sis.
Yeah, fam. I mean, at the end of the day, I am hoping that by having this dialogue, I know it seemed harsh and it seemed painful, and there was a lot of truths here that we really don't want to face. That by having this dialogue, that we initiate the process of altering these things that are causing our families and our children so much pain. You see what I'm saying? In point of fact, fam, white supremacy is going to do enough to us, right? We don't need to help it along through a poisonous acculturation and so on and so forth. You feel me? There are things that we can do, that we should do, in order to be able to address some of the most egregious, outright criminal things that help us, that help foster white supremacy, not just externally, but in our own households. Whoever was trying to call in, again, the number is 425-296-1980. Please give us a call back. Caller that was from, I think, 713. Yeah, give us a call back, right?
So I always, in a lot of my blog posts, before I started to actually record content, I would say there are a couple that I even say we have to change our societal roles. We have to change how our mama raised us, how our grandmamas.
Yep, there we go. Thank you, caller, for 713. Sorry about that. I can only take one call at a time. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
This is Christine Williams from the chat.
Christine, hey, sis. I'm glad you called in. Thank you for giving us the opportunity for us to have a dialogue, sister, because you know I got mad respect for you. What's on your mind?
I have mad respect for you all, too, but check this out.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody in this day and time to deny racism, white supremacy, universal power is madness.
I agree.
I wasn't trying to throw shade at the brother.
Uh-huh.
All I was saying is the fact is that we have a problem as black people, not just the woman, but the black male, too. Mm-hmm. You can't put all of that on her back. She didn't make that child by herself. Where is the male in this situation? We won't give the woman all the heat? Come on now, stop it.
Hold on, sister.
All I'm saying, wait. All I'm saying is that as a group, work together under this system of racism, white supremacy, to do what we can to help our children, period.
I hear you.
That's all I'm saying.
No, I hear you, sister, because I couldn't agree more. The only thing is this, right, if I may. Whenever we have a conversation where there's a dynamic at play as ADOS people, and we can clearly pinpoint that ADOS males are primarily responsible, not saying that they're wholly responsible, but primary responsibility falls on the ADOS man, we have no problem whatsoever addressing that. We have no problem assigning that to them. We say, yes, this is an issue for ADOS people and we need to fix it. But the brothers need to take point on this because the brothers are the ones that are primarily causing X issue, right? Whether it's, being out in the streets, committing criminal acts and things like that, whatever it is, whenever it's an issue with ADOS males, with men, we can pinpoint that, we can talk about that, we can feel comfortable issuing advice, we can feel all of that, right? But then when the opposite occurs, right, when we can examine a topic that we can see clearly that one group of us has the primary point of place in that, right? And in this matter, with ADOS upbringing, when we're talking about child rearing, we know from the data that the overwhelming majority of children that are being raised that are ADOS are being raised by single mothers, right? So it don't make sense to then say, well, no, this is a collective problem, when in point of fact, we can point directly to a source in the ADOS community that bears the primary responsibility. This is not saying that we cannot address this collectively. I would hope that as ADOS people, Sister Christine, that we look at this issue and that we have a cleaving together and we work on this issue together. But to deny the fact that our sisters play the primary role in the primary socialization and the acculturation of ADOS children, both male and female, would be disingenuous. And that was the point that I'm making in this particular topic. It has nothing to do with throwing shade on sisters or trying to make them be mules or carry a burden that they ain't supposed to be carrying. No, this one's on them. And we need to be able to say that just as comfortably as we are when we're addressing issues that we can directly point to ADOS men and address. We need that same energy is what I'm saying, sister. You feel me?
Accountability and responsibility. And Sister Christine, it's not just that that black women are the primary raisers of children. They've also been given a primacy of place as in our society and as well as in white society. They are being incentivized to do the things that they're doing, to raise the children the way they're raising them. So it's not that I'm saying all black, no. What I'm saying is that in this particular arena, in this particular area, it is on the black woman, it is on us to change the dynamic of how we're raising children, how we're interacting with our men, and how we're interacting with our boys.
Sister Christine, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
y'all got a
sister,
delay thing,
I'm
and
sorry,
I'm watching you speak. But anyway,
the floor is yours.
I couldn't more. But this is a us problem, not a her problem. It's us. It's us as black people. That's all I'm saying. The black woman needs the support of the black men to help her with the child rearing. You can't, even though it's in her lap primarily, right? Because of what has happened through us, through the feminist movement or whatever. But we still can't take the responsibility of saying the father has his role too. I agree that if men see women not doing what they need to do for their children, they need to take them. I couldn't agree more. But to leave them there and see what's happening, he's as much responsible as that woman who is in it, and because of maybe her uprearing. You know what I'm saying? We got this uprearing from racist white supremacy. That's where we got it from.
Right. Okay.
How we treat kids, even though.
Who denies that? Like, there's no.
Yeah, but that's all I'm saying.
Never denied that we got this acculturation from
that. Racist white supremacy still has a strong hold on us.
Yes,
they want to turn it
okay,
so it don't exist.
Sister, we got
That's
that.
all
right?
I'm saying.
No one here on Black Outcast Media. I done a whole broadcast where I went in on all those people who try to deny that white supremacy is real. It is a real thing. Okay, now we know that white supremacy is real and that it has definitive, clear, deleterious effects on us as ADOS people. Now, what do we do with that knowledge? You feel me? Do we then say, well, okay, then this has to be something that we address collectively and forego figuring out where it comes from? In other words, okay, think of white supremacy like an illness, right? Whenever you get an illness, there's a point of entry into the body, right? Like if you get a cold, it's primarily through your mucous membranes in your nose and in your mouth, right? If you get sepsis, it's through a wound in the skin and so on and so forth. What's been happening though is that we've been trying to address this illness in our people, but without looking where the point of entry of the illness is, right? There are places where this illness continues to affect us, right? You can't say, oh, we sick, let's get better, but we don't look to see where the sickness came from, like, where it is on our body, where it lies, what's its effects, the body parts affected, and so on and so forth, right? So,
yes, it needs treatment.
We can agree 100% it needs treatment. And I think that I would like to hope that Miss Denny and I's dialogue with us today on Sucka-Free Saturday goes towards creating that space needed to address this issue collectively, right? This ain't got nothing to do necessarily with blame, more than it has to do with highlighting the actual reality of what body part is hurting, what's being affected, and now we can start looking at a cure. You feel me, sister?
Right. I'm gonna let you go. Somebody else need to get on the line, but
Thank you,
appreciate
sister. Hey, I love you. Thank you
Oh.
so much for your input and your support. It's so good to hear from you. Feel free to call in anytime, okay?
All right, love you, fam.
Thank you. Love you too. All right, caller from 803. It's your man Mark Black and Miss Denny. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Okay, am I live?
Yes, you are, fam. It's all you.
All right, this is LaShawn Jefferson.
LaShawn. Oh my goodness, bro. It's
Told you I was calling in for a follow-up.
yes,
Now let me
sir.
explain something to you. I don't give a damn what the white people done did. You a black-ass person. Why the freaking hell you following what the white person done taught you? No, don't tell me, well, it's white supremacy, all this other good stuff. And you a black-ass person. You man, woman, child. I don't give a damn. How the hell you gonna follow what the white man did to black people, and you following the same damn lessons they did to us?
Fam, I'll be honest with you. I'm continually floored by the fact that we can know. So like ADOS people can study, get the data, and know exactly where white supremacy put the landmines, how they laid them, the pattern, the whole 9 yards, and then still demand that we just walk through the field willy-nilly.
Now you see how she mama guilt my ass, but they're still doing the white man's lessons?
Who you talking about, LaShawn?
Are you talking about Sister
Miss Christine, when she sat there, your mama gave you life. Yeah, but I ain't the one that humped my mama to give me life, and why the hell is it my fault? Because that's the way hell she raised me in life.
Yeah, I mean, fam, I'm with you on that one in the sense that at some point we have to stop with this enforced idea that parents, okay, so like I've never understood how ADOS parents operate. When I look at our upbringing in general, it seems so damned arbitrary and contradictory to me, fam. I can't make it make sense. Let me explain. They'll tell
Go ahead,
us
explain it.
that-
You got it all. I know you got it, Miss Black. You got it. Go ahead and kick that field
tell
off.
us,
Go ahead and get
fam.
that 60-yard field goal. Kick that 60-yard field goal, sir.
They
Kick
tell
it.
us that we owe them respect, that we owe them our ears, our hearts, our minds, that whatever they tell us, we need to be on board with without question.
But they don't give it to us.
But then when they'll quote, like if you're a Bible believer, they'll quote to you and say, honor thy mother and thy father so that thy days might be long upon this earth. Or, when they justify, the hitting of children, right? Spare the rod and spoil the child, right? But you never hear from them, parents, do not provoke thy children to wrath, right?
There you
never
go,
hear
sir.
them quote the
There
other
you go.
side
That's a 60-yard
that
field goal. They want to edit. They want to edit the part that makes them look good, but they want to stop the first part God said because you gave life to your children. That's the first thing you need to do. They want to edit to get to the last thing that you should do for them,
but they
ain't going to do for you.
Fam, again, Miss Christine, though, is right. We don't question. We don't question as a collective. Part of the sticking points in all of this is that we're having these individual conversations, but we haven't gotten around to really addressing a lot of these things as an ADOS collective, right? And that same behavior that you just described comes right off of the plantation. When they cracked open the Bible on the plantation, what was they reading to us? A disrespectful slave shall be beaten with many stripes. They were cherry picking verses that went
I'm going to tell you right now, sir, let me cut you off. Look up the slave Bible and see how many verses and how many chapters and how many prophets that ain't in the slave Bible. Yeah. It's actually in the National Museum, in the Smithsonian, and they got another copy in the Slave Museum. Now, here's the linchpin that's going to make your 60-yard field goal and the wind just blew that damn thing in, and we had ice snow, and we didn't have a snow blower clear out the field. I'm telling you right now. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. When a parent sit there and say, I can sin upon you, but you can't do the same sin upon me. But it's all right for me to do the sin. Wait. So you want me to do as you tell me, but accept as you do. But you ain't wrong. But if I question you, I'm wrong, and I'm walking with the devil while you doing devil's work.
Facts. Facts.
And the thing is, here it is. Our parents, look, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and every damn leader is dead. So who was left? The wives, the women, and everything else. And you know what? You know what they did? They just translated. So we follow the new masters, and that's the women that wants to be the new masters. Because, see, if we go ahead and fight and die for them, sooner or later we going to run out of black men, and the white men got to take care of us. Because you know what? At the end of the damn day, you know what? There was the slave in the house and the slave in the field. And now, right now, black women ain't the slaves in the field like the black men is. Look, they fussing about immigrants detention centers. That's prison for profit. What the hell you think they putting your black boys and black men in?
Facts.
Now, and the thing is, they want to go ahead and be righteous, and they want to go ahead and use the Bible, but nothing personal. The preacher is making them pregnant, and they still putting every damn tithes in the 12,000 plates they pass through the church. And the thing is, they thinking they being saved while the devil is sitting there at the pulpit.
I hear you, fam. Pastor
And the
Pork
thing
Chop,
is,
Reverend Durong done us a disservice for a long time.
And you asking where your good men is. Either they're dead in prison, or you just said, well, you must have did something, or they wouldn't have stopped you. Yeah. And that's a fact. Now, see, that's the problem. Now, here it is. And if there's any black women that gonna listen to this, I don't give a damn if you on Section 8, WIC, whatever. When the illegals get all your damn benefits, who the hell they gonna cut? They gonna cut the white folk, or they gonna cut your black ass? Now, who you gonna holler for? Well, you can go ahead and holler at the nigga for the corner, but he gonna be in prison real quick. I mean, you gonna let another man in there to kill your kids, but you won't let the father see his while he paying child support.
Fam, let me tell you something.
Gonna put him in jail.
LaShawn, let me tell you something, fam. There is going to ultimately be a reckoning across all spectrums, across all levels. Everything that is done in the dark will ultimately come into the light, right?
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
The thing is that we will see justice for ADOS people. But there are a bunch of folk that will either have to get on board or gonna have to get gone. And that's that's just the way.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Mr. Black. We ain't getting reparations. Our reparations is those that betrayed us shall go ahead and face their sins. And the thing is, here it is. Where is all your good men? Well, nothing personal. My butt ain't in the ghetto. I moved the hell away from it. And nothing personal. I've got more white people that's racist that got my back than the black folk that say they black and have mine. And that's fact.
That's an experience that I think warrants its own damn broadcast, fam, because there's a lot to that.
And go ahead and make a goddamn broadcast on it, because you're going to go ahead and do it better than I can, sir.
Yeah, what you said on that one, fam, is one that's going to need to be chewed on. Fam, hey, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for somebody else to call out. But LaShawn,
yes,
man,
sir.
Great call, fam. As always, I love you. I respect you, brother. Don't be a stranger. Call in anytime.
Hey, I'm glad I can add to your show. And the lady that's your co-host, she doing good work, and I can wait to her. She do a lady side of it.
That's right.
And I will appreciate it too.
On the case, you know she gonna get it in.
Hey, y'all both doing good work.
Thank you, fam.
And the only thing I got to do is give my support. and I'll call in if she want me to call in too.
There you go.
All right, y'all
Yeah,
do
you
good
make
work
sure you
and
do
get the
that.
next call. Thank you for your time.
No
Have a
problem.
good
Thank you,
day.
brother. Love you.
Bye.
Fam,
LaShawn is just.
I have, you wouldn't believe this from this broadcast, right? From the topic of this broadcast. But I have so much hope that a healing, a massive healing for ADOS people is bound to come. We are finally putting on our big people's draws and having the real conversations that need to be had so that we can have that collective catharsis, that collective healing that is going to allow us, in conjunction with our lineage and heritage, to link up and get in some powerful work, fam. Y'all haven't even seen yet the greatness that's about to come from all of this. I can promise you, it's always darkest, fam, before the dawn. Right? We need to have these harsh, cold, sometimes painful ass conversations so that we can clear the fog and we can finally see each other clear after generations of the plantation, after generations under Jim Crow, after generations of burying brothers in the ground, of generations of sisters having to cleave to each other to take care of their families because we weren't there, after generations of all of this, the healing is coming. And I can promise you that, fam. These conversations open up the door and create the space for the healing that's bound to happen.
These conversations are very much akin to the perfect storm. You know, when it rains and it's thundering and it's pouring, but after the air is clear, it's fresh, you can feel like you can start anew. That's what these conversations are. The perfect storm. Once that shit's over,
everything is smelling good. The grass is green. The flowers are blooming. Like, let us channel the storm, fam. For so long under white supremacy, we done had the storm thrown on us, and we've been tossed hither and fro. Right? We've been tossed like flotsam and jetsam. Let us, through the power of our lineage, let us, through the power of wanting to see justice, remediation, restoration, and repair, let us summon the storm and let us ride out this storm so that when we get to the other side, fam, we're the better for it. Right? Let us, like gold, put ourselves through a crucible of purification, of healing, of telling the real hard facts and truths that are needed to wipe away the dross so that what comes out on the other side is pure and it can be put to the best effect. You feel me? Put to the best effect. First of all, I want to shout out Perry Martin, newest black Angry Black Sheep. Welcome to the fold. We are glad to have you.
So glad.
Fam, I'm going to take one more call. 425-296-1980. Our numbers are dropping, so I know it's about time for everybody to go and enjoy their weekend. So I'm going to leave it open for one more call. There was a question that I wanted to ask, but I think I boffed it. You know, I'm getting old and senile. You know what I'm saying?
What was the question?
I'll probably remember it after the broadcast is over. Fam, by the way, while we wait on the next caller, please check out the links in the description field of the video. There's links to resources there, reports, books to get up on your advocacy as ADOS, right? There's also a link to my Patreon. Please, if you support this work, you support your efforts, support your interests, put 5 on it. There's also the super chat. If you have something you'd like for me to tell everybody, you want everybody to know, that's the means by which to do it. Hit the super chat and let us know what's on your mind, or give us a call, 425-296-1980.
Now, back to the beginning of the broadcast when you were mentioning the tragedy that happened in El Paso. You were talking about incels. In my research, family, I found that in connection with the incels are mentioned in connection with the black men, with the manosphere, with men's rights activists. Incels are not that, family. So I'll give you one case in point. Elliot Rogers. He was an Asian. He was half Asian, half white. His family was from affluence, um, uh, and basically, he felt that he was owed sexual access. He felt that he was owed respect, the respect of his peers. He felt that he was not getting what he deserved. So he let all of that build up over time. And as it built up, he decided that he was going to take what he wanted.
Yep.
And so he shot up a bunch of people. What I'm finding out is the more I hear about these tragedies of this one guy shooting up a mass bunch of people, what I'm realizing is that what we're seeing is incels. Like the Columbine kids who were bullied and didn't get the respect they deserved. They weren't one of the cool kids. They weren't popular. And so they shot up the school.
Hell, we don't even need to go back that far. The most recent shooting, that one guy who quoted that book, "Might Makes Right" by Ragnar Redbeard.
Yes.
Ragnar Redbeard's book. If you haven't read it, I actually I'm gonna need to put a link up to it. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find a PDF copy of the book here. Give me just a second. I found it on archive.org. Now, the book is not archive. It was an older book. Where the hell did I find it?
PDF?
You know what? I'm going to have to, I downloaded the PDF. I'll have to put it up somewhere and put a link to it in the description field of the video. But in this book basically said, take what you want. Right? Like, there is only the strong and the weak.
Yes.
And the weak are there to be taken by whatever, by whoever's the strong man, right? These incels are not men's rights activists. Many of them, I argue, are frustrated blue pillars, right? They regular traditional dudes who feel like they're not getting their due to the point where they become outraged, and then they're radicalized either through racial radicalization or through philosophical or ideological radicalization, in the case of the guy with the "might makes right," right? And then they act on their radicalization through the rage that they have from being denied their prerogatives. But that's not masculinity. That's not maleness. That's simply some person with an entitlement issue who is then radicalized and uses that radicalization as justification for the outlet of their rage.
And then also what I noticed too with some incels who act out that way, they write these manifestos. Now, Elliot Rodgers, I'm still reading it, but I began to read Elliot Rodgers' manifesto. And it was basically his life was just this privilege. His parents divorced, but they were able to move into these, good homes with good, lots of money or whatever. His mom would arrange plane dates. Anything this boy wanted, he would get. And so he felt like as he
became a man,
right,
that should continue.
That should still continue. I think it's telling when white supremacy doesn't work for you the way you think it should. That's what I think these incels are about.
Yeah, that's exactly. Look, fam, these mass killings, these mass shootings are a sign of the weakness of white supremacy. It is these budding white supremacists trying to assert in a hail of glory what they feel their historical prerogatives and privileges should be.
Yes.
Right? And they're using the avenue of white supremacy and radicalization as white identity extremists to do it. That's as simple as that.
And not only that, it's funny. Like, Elliot ended up killing himself because he didn't want to go to jail.
Pussy. He ended up killing himself because he knew they'd have a nice warm welcome waiting for his ass in the jail.
He would get all the sexual access then.
Exactly. He'd get plenty of sexual access whether he wanted it or not.
Right. But my thing is that the reason I believe, and I'm just conjecturing, the reason I believe they're sticking incels in with men's rights activists is to deny the validity of men's rights activists.
Facts.
They're saying that, oh, men's rights are just men who can't get access to sex. I'm sorry. The value of vagina has decreased over the years, meaning you can have access to it if you wish. There is no reason. There's no actual validity to that statement. Incels are just incels because they don't have really good social skills. Their social skills are lacking, and so they're not able to have good interactions.
Social skills? What social skills do you need when everything you could possibly want is just given to you? You go boo and it's delivered on a silver fucking platter. Who needs to develop social skills for that?
You still do, because chicks.
No. I don't want you to misunderstand me. Like, you say they're lacking in social skills, but they've never needed it. Like, you can't say that they're being denied because they lack social skills when they've never had to have social skills before and were never denied, right? Like, if all I've ever done is give you candy, and then now you're an adult and you go out and you think the world is made of candy, but nobody gives you candy, you've never had to develop the skills required for somebody to give you candy because you've always been given it. So you don't have to have those social skills. Right? It's not that they lack them, they could develop them, but what incentive would they have had to have developed it? Nobody ever incentivized them to learn how to work well with others to get what they want, or to put in some effort to get what they want, because it was already given to them on a silver platter. Either that, or they saw other people and coveted what they wanted.
That's exactly
you
what
see what
the
I'm
case
saying?
is with Elliot.
Yeah, with the covetousness, and
That's
so on and so
exactly
forth.
What the case was with Elliot. And on top of that, this boy, as a child, traveled the world with it. Like, he had a childhood that most of us can barely dream about. His childhood was charmed. What?
I was gonna say, who cares? Like,
no, I'm just saying there was no reason for him to go the way he went, because you know how they say that, what was the childhood like, what were their parents like? This kid didn't have no excuse.
None of that makes a difference under white supremacy. If you are classified as white, you don't need a reason to do anything. What's the saying we all say, fam? I'm white and I say so. That's the only reason. Look, Elliot, even though he was half white or whatever the case may be, was classified as a white dude. So for him, reason had nothing to do with it. There's never going to be a reason that he needed to do anything. He was white. He demanded access to sexual congress and wasn't getting it. And he saw that people was, and he coveted it. And so rather than sit there and develop what it would take for him to get it, he decided to go out and make everybody pay who denied it to him. Right? It was basically the adult version of a motherfucking temper tantrum.
And what's crazy is that we wonder why, like, even with this latest massacre, we're sitting here wondering why. What I heard on the news from the El Paso shooting was that even when the people he pointed the gun at, even when they did what he asked, he still shot them. We need not to be asking why. Because, like as Mark Black said, they don't need a reason. They just gonna do it.
Yeah, they look.
Same reason.
Fam, no, I couldn't agree more with you, Ms. Diddy. As a matter of fact, fam, I would argue that for ADOS people, and I've said this before, but I think it bears repeating, why is the most poisonous damn question that we can ask. Why paralyzes us. It's like snake venom. As soon as you start asking why as ADOS, you're doomed. Right? The only questions you need to be concerned about as ADOS is what, where, when, and how. Why should not even enter into the equation. If I'm sorry, Ms. Dini, but if you out there in the woods and a bear run up on you, are you gonna sit there and say, damn, I wonder why that bear's coming at me with its claws? Nope. You're going to do whatever the hell it takes to get off from, you know what I'm saying? You're going to do whatever it takes to get that bear off of you. Now, once you get safe, if you feel like asking why, then I suppose you could conjecture to your heart's content. But who cares about why?
So the reason that I guess I was asking, or I was thinking about.
Let's start rapping.
Oh, well,
no, you good. Go ahead and say your piece. I'm just letting you know we were coming up on our 2-hour mark. The numbers drop. I'm gonna let my people go and enjoy the weekend. No, but I want to hear what you're saying. Go ahead.
But I think the reason I was asking why, like, because it is kind of, it doesn't matter why. But I was asking why because I was thinking about it psychologically. What is it? Is it that they're missing something like the empathy gene, or are they missing are they missing something that makes them like other human beings?
I don't care.
Yeah, I know.
No. And Miss Diddy, no, I'm not saying that it's not a valid question. The problem I have, though, with why is twofold. One, you can never be assured of the answer, right? There in philosophy, fam, and we'll kind of wrap it up from here, but in philosophy, there is this essential dichotomy that every mind exists in one human body, right? In other words, what's in Miss Denny's head, there is a real truth that I will never know what's in her mind. I can't, right? That is the essential dichotomy of human existence. I can't know what's in Tazaba's head. I can't know what, you see what I'm saying? Right? So asking why, I can't ever be certain. That's the second reason. Because even if you tell me the answer,
right,
I can never know that answer is the true answer as to why. I can ask you why all day. Why are these white folks doing us like this? Right? I can ask that all day. And they could give me 10,000 answers. And any one of those 10,000 answers could be correct. And I will never truly know. So asking why becomes nigh on useless at some point because I can't be in their head to confirm the truth or falsity of the why statement, right? So that's my humble opinion.
Yeah.
You know, I try to study this type of stuff, and I quickly realized that why is damn useless.
Right. It's like hope.
Yeah, it's like hope. It's just another goddamn paralyzing poison to prevent ADOS folk from taking the action needed to address certain situations. Ms. Denny, I'm going to let you have the last word. Say what you going to say to the fam and the whole 9 yards.
Family, I love y'all. I had a good damn time talking about this harsh topic. And it is things we need to talk about. Like Mark says, we need to talk about dinner, not dessert. Dinner. So I hope y'all ate real good from this broadcast. And like I say, to all my black honey badgers, because I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to keep my claws sharp, my mind clear, my heart pure.
Facts. Yeah, fam. Hey, thank you so much, fam, for all of your love, your support, your time, your eyeballs. We do what we do for y'all. Yeah. And it's as simple as that. Like, we can't get enough because y'all can't get enough. Thank you all for being the baddest angry black sheep herd that anybody could ever have assembled. We're only going to grow. We're only going to get bigger. Make sure you share this on your social media. Yes. Make sure you leave comments.
Join the group.
Make sure you join the group. Yes. I've set it up. You can put in your request now and you'll be able to join the group.
Yes.
And fam, be expecting my Hump Day broadcast. You know I'm going to bring the heat as always. So family, until the next time I see you, like I always do, I want to wish you all love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.